how does an adult deal with the fact that they may have had some unconscious conditioning that is not, it's still in the shadow, it's not in the light, we don't see it, but it's affecting them. It's basically by noticing the experience you're having, and if there's struggle, or you're not relating to something and you're more reactive than you might normally be, there's a reason. In other words, there's causal forces. It's like, why do I get bothered by that? Why do I do that every time that happens? What's happening for me? There's causal forces that we can trace to something subconscious, perhaps, so you got programmed in some way. That's how, as we get to notice, like, I'm struggling. Why is that? And so what we can do is we can say things like, what is in the way of me being more loving or present? And we can maybe track it that way. We can say, okay, what's the sensation in my body that I'm having for the 15 millionth time? Can I actually stop, feel it, and just hang out there for a second without doing anything? Whoa, that's actually familiar, that feeling. Huh, that's old. Okay, so then we want to build a relationship to it. So then we relax our body and breathe right into the middle of the feeling. And on the exhale, relax into the feeling and let our nervous system begin to work with it. So we go, wait, I can actually be with this sensation and I don't have to have the conditioned reaction to it. It's okay to be with that fear. You know, I talk about like the tools of the spiritual warrior sometimes, and the tools I would say is you want to have arrows in your quiver, which are all your spiritual practices or what you do to get yourself integrated and deal. And you also have a sword, which would represent like the truth, but it's double-edged. And you draw it with love, saying, here's my truth. I'm honoring my truth, but you have to feel your truth. You can't just like throw it around recklessly. You have to feel that. You have to be with that. And then the dagger would be, again, drawn with love. It's communication skill. It's really skillfully getting to the core of what's happening, right? And then the shield. So the sword would be the masculine, the shield would be the feminine, which is like the womb, right? It's creating space. The womb is space, safe space, right? And then the other tool that people are hesitant to want to have on their tool belt in their spiritual warriorship is the flare gun. And my flare gun looked untouched until my 20s. I ain't touching that thing. I'm cool, right? No arrows in my quiver, nothing, right? You know. And if you're really doing work on yourself, that flare gun looks as beat up as anything else. You're like firing it anytime you need help until you have more capacity. So it's a great question. Does that answer it? Great, thanks.